Welcome back, you guys. This is a video I am very excited for, and I think you might be too. It is my eyeshadow palette collection and declutter. I don't know why I can't say that without stuttering, but I have a lot of palettes and I'm excited to show you guys what I have in my collection. Maybe get rid of some that I'm not crazy about. I do have a bad habit of swatching, so this might be a long one. So grab a snack, get cozy, get a blanket, and let's get started. It's already not going very well. And in case you were wondering, the palettes are okay, but let's go ahead and get into it. If this is your first time here, hi, my name is Heather and I love all things makeup, especially colorful makeup and indie brands. And if you guys love those things too, I really hope you will subscribe and don't forget to click the little bell so you can be notified of all my future uploads. And as you've seen by the thumbnail, I have a lot of palettes. I have not counted them, but I have really amped that number up this year. I bought a lot of like older stuff on Black Friday, things that I wanted to have in my collection, and I'm excited. I can't wait. There have been so many good releases this year, and I'm feeling a little out with the old and with the new. I do need to try to make a little bit of space. That or I'm going to have to buy another bookshelf. We'll have to see which one goes down, but I'm excited to dig in and show you guys the palettes that I have. At the end of the video, I will tell you the number, or I'll pop it up on the screen now. I haven't counted them yet at this very moment, but I have a feeling it's probably over 200, but we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm going to go ahead and get my camera set up and everything, and we're going to get started. Okay, I am back, and I finally got it all set up. These are stacked. I don't know how many palettes I have here, but I'm excited to find out. And I know that there are some things that I am more than willing to let go of. I saw them as I was pulling everything out. I'm curious to see like how many palettes I have this year, because I've definitely like doubled the size at least. I don't know exactly how many I had last year after my declutter. I'll pop it up here somewhere on the screen, but there's a lot here and I'm excited to dig in. I didn't realize how many Odin's eye palettes I had either. Okay, I have my stain bin. I tried to wipe it out to clean it. I usually use this to hold like my ranking palettes, but for now, I'm going to use it to hold the declutter palettes because I see some right on top. So I do collect Glamlite palettes. I love them, but these are killing me. They get on my nerves so bad. These are really cute, and I did really enjoy them. I got them at TJ Maxx, and I bought them because they're Glamlite, if I'm going to be honest. Here is the blue one. I've already decluttered 2 of them last year, and I never retched for them. So these I'm going to let go because I can't stand how like slippery they are. They don't lay right. Same with this one. This is one of their like first palettes. Not their first, but you know, one of the first ones. This is the Street Taco palette, and I think it's beautiful, but I hate the packaging. I like my palettes to sit up like a book, and that's hard to do with this. This one is a Charmed palette, and if you're new here, I freaking love Charmed so much. That's one of my like comfort shows. I've watched it a million times. This is from Sula Look, and the quality of this is crap, but I love it because it's Charmed. So I'm going to put this in my declutter pile, but it's actually going to be put up like for, you know, nostalgic types of things. Okay, so I have these 3 little travel palettes from Nomad, and I do collect Nomad palettes, but I got these in PR. They're just not my vibe. They're good quality and stuff. If I do a 6-pan, it better be one that I'm like obsessed with. This is my favorite out of them, and then I would go for this one. The warm one I really don't like at all, but these just aren't my vibe, and I'm gonna let them go. And I honestly do not feel bad about it at all. You know, some you're like, oh, well, I regret it. That's not one of them. Same with this one. I loved it so much when I first got it, but this is the Wild Python from Huda Beauty. It's beautiful. I love it, but my mom would really love this because of that yellow shade, so I'm probably going to give it to her. Okay, these are staying. These are broken. I need to fix that one. My friend sent these to me and she repressed them, but they got like re-messed up in shipping. So I'm going to repress that one. And here is the other one. They are so beautiful though. So those are staying. And I still want to try that brand and I still have not gotten the opportunity to try that one. Okay, then I have this little Gold Dust Woman palette. One of you, Steph, sent me this palette along with another one. And this is from Notoriously Morbid, I'm pretty sure. And I've been dying to try this brand. These look hand-pressed. I don't know for sure if they are. Let me know down below. I could look it up, but I'm lazy. But this is really pretty. And I love like these two shades right here. I think this might be a good travel palette. And I do have a lot of trips coming up, so I'm excited to see like how much I like this. I will say the packaging is really cheap. Like these are stickers and they weren't even like printed correctly. That would have drove me crazy personally, but no judgment here. I am excited to give these a shot. And the shades are backwards. See how it's got this Illusions of Love shade on that side, but it's actually right there. Let's try it. Ooh, that's really pretty. It's really pretty. That's very silky. And I'm so grateful that she sent me this because I have been dying to try them. The witch on the front looks really freaking cute too. So I'm excited. I won't get rid of it either way, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful color story. This I just got in PR. It is from Blairdale MUA Cosmetics. Blairdale has a Instagram page with gorgeous looks. I highly recommend you check them out, but this palette is really beautiful. I'm hoping to film something with it really soon, probably tomorrow, because it is such a gorgeous palette, and I do want to give it a try. So this one is staying, and that's another new brand. I love trying new indie brands. Same with this one. This came out a little bit ago. This is from Ladybug Glow. She went on a little break for a while and came back, and she came back with this, and this is like such a gorgeous neutral palette. This one might come with me on my next trip because you could like really get some dramatic looks, or you could do like, you know, something soft and light. It's beautiful, and the packaging on this one is really pretty. I even really like the box that it came in. It's gorgeous. This one was sent to me by a friend. It is The End of the Rainbow by Ladybug Glow. The shimmers in this are really freaking gorgeous. I still have not used the palette by itself. I have used it like off camera. Hi guys. But it's beautiful and I'm super happy to have it in my collection. So this is from, what's it called? CXC Beauty. A bunch of people have like recommended me this brand. It's falling apart and I haven't even like dropped it. It's been sitting on my shelf. So I'll have to spray that with like alcohol or something and try to repress it before I can even give that away. Let me grab a wipe because that purple is like falling apart. There's my camera. But it's not bad, but it's not like my top. It's not a favorite. It's okay. It doesn't stand out. It's one of those palettes that I used and then forgot about, which is going to be a video coming up really soon. So I'm going to put this off to the side, but I will count this as a declutter. Oh, these palettes are declutters as well. I really was excited to try this brand, but I had issues with the shadows coming broke and them saying they were sold out and all that stuff. It was a whole thing, but the reason I haven't bought anything else from them was because of the comments that was under the video where I played with one of these, I think it was Lost Kingdom, was so horrifying that I did never even post in my video with this one. You can go check out the comments if you're curious, but those, I'm just going to get rid of them because they're getting like shadow and stuff everywhere. I will say the quality of them was really beautiful. The shimmer formula, unfortunately though, is not stable. And that's an issue because when you ship, I mean, it's got to be stable. So this one is from that Sula Look brand too. It's Dirty Dancing. I mean, this palette has terrible quality. I mean, the color story is gorgeous, but the whole reason I am keeping this is because it's Dirty Dancing. So this needs to go somewhere else with that Charmed palette. Actually, I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually letting stuff go. This is nostalgic. My boss's wife used to tell me all the time that I had beautiful makeup, and then she was trying to tell me about Sephora brands, and at the time I had never been able to pick anything up from Sephora. This is the Naked Heat, in case you guys aren't familiar, but she bought me this as a gift and a bunch of other little minis. It was the sweetest thing. I cried when she gave it to me. It's not my vibe anymore. Back then it was, but I do more colorful things now. So I'm going to put this up for nostalgic reasons. Their formula isn't even my favorite either, to be honest. And that's the only like Urban Decay palette I have. It's the only one I've ever had. I only want to keep things that, one, either make sense to have in my collection for like content creating purposes, or they have to be stuff that I love, which is why it is easier for me to get rid of stuff that I know I haven't even looked at or even thought of in a long time. So what stack do I want to do next? So these are the two palettes I have from Ace Beauté. I freaking love this palette. It's the Ambiance. It's so beautiful and so fall. I just love that color story. This was my first palette from them, the Nostalgia. I wonder when they're coming back, but I loved and used this palette a lot. It has like sentimental values. I learned how to do makeup, like eyeshadow, with this palette. It's one of the few that I had at the time, so that one is staying. At this point, I've actually decluttered more than I kept, which is kind of crazy. This is another one I am willing to let go. I think this one is really, really pretty. I love the cool tones with the blues and the neutrals, but it's not like one of my top favorites from them. And I'm getting ready to get the one that Bella Beauty Bar and Sassy Fairy, I think her name is, collaborated on, and it's kind of giving the same vibes. So I'm gonna let that one go as well. Same with this one. Actually, let me think. I don't really have a whole lot of neutral palettes. I was thinking of getting rid of another one, but I actually want to keep that one. So this is the Tarte Maneater After Dark. I bought this from... No, I got this in BoxyCharm, and I was excited because I thought it was the original Maneater, but unfortunately it wasn't. It was this one. This one is really beautiful. It's very, very neutral, and you guys know, like, I don't mind a neutral. Like I always say in my intro, I love all things makeup, but if I'm going to gravitate towards a neutral, it's not going to be in this palette. This palette from Tarte, I do like to keep. I got this in BoxyCharm as well. This is the Tarte Sunrise. Very, very neutral, but I love this palette to do like those really quick, like one and done types of looks. It's effortless, and sometimes that's necessary because one thing you must know about me, I am always running late, no matter what I do or how hard I try, and Amanda's worse than I am, so I need something for those quick looks sometimes. Okay, so these are my Juvia's Place palettes. I have 6 of them. This was my first one, the Zulu, and I loved this. It's another one of those palettes that I learned how to do makeup with, but for some reason, when I look at this palette, I think of like all the traumatic stuff that happened at the end of the relationship I was in when I got this palette. So it just brings me like bad vibes. So I want to let it go. And I loved these palettes for such a long time, but I don't really care about the Juvia's Place palettes anymore. This one is really beautiful, but I've barely even used it. This one is beautiful. I love that color story. This one I've never even touched. So I think I'm just gonna let these go. Is that really what I want? This one for sure I'm gonna let go. These other 5 I'm gonna put in the maybe pile. I need to think about it. Because if I have any doubts, I don't want to get rid of it. If I'm second guessing, then I probably need to keep it. I don't want to get rid of stuff just for the sake of getting rid of stuff. To me, that's stupid. Like, especially, like, I worked really hard for those palettes back then. Like, real hard. So, like, my literal blood, sweat, and tears went into that. So, I don't want to just get rid of them to get rid of them. These are all like new to me. This is a new brand, Unearthly Cosmetics, and I've been loving them. This was my first palette from them, the Gloomy Gardens, and it's so freaking beautiful. This was my last palette I bought, but it was their second release, the Dewdrops. These shimmers are so freaking stunning. And then we have their newest, Warlock of the Wood. Such a gorgeous, like, cool tone palette. And that split pan is to die for. So is this. Like, look at that. Oh, it's so freaking gorgeous. And then we have Witch of the Wildflower. This was a collab with, who was it? Basket Case Beauty. That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. But this one is really beautiful too. See, when I did my review on these, I said that this one was my favorite, but I think I changed my mind. I think it's this one now. I don't know why. They're both really beautiful. They did a great job on this. And if it wasn't obvious, those are all staying. I love them. Okay, so I have 2 palettes from Kaleidos, and they're both staying. This one is staying because I love this palette. I'll probably never get rid of it. Like, it is dusty and crusty, as you can tell. It's the Club Nebula. This was the collab with Angelica Nikovist, and I think she did a great job on this collab. I can't wait to get her new palette from Singe Beauty. But then I have the Escape Pod. And to be honest, I don't use this. You could tell, like, it's barely been touched. But I do want to keep it for, like, creator reasons, you know what I mean? Just to have it for comparisons and all of those things. And I like doing, like, different types of rankings. So I like keeping it for that reason, too. But I don't really care for it. I don't have no attachment to it. You know what I mean? Don't be surprised if at the end of this video, I have on different makeup and clothing because it's almost 11 o'clock at night and I'm probably going to have to like finish filming this in the morning because there's a lot to get through and I am not staying up all night. I work too hard to get my days and nights back together. So these are my Pat McGrath palettes. I don't have very many, but I do have a few. So Amanda just bought me these 3 for Christmas. And she gave them to me early, but it's really, really pretty. Those shimmers are hella sparkly. And I still have not tried the Pat McGrath formula. This is the Luminous Legends Mega Eyeshadow Palette. So that's staying. And then my friend Mel sent me this one. This is a really good travel palette. This is actually probably what I'm going to take because you have 2 different blushes. I could do a blush draping and then you have like all these beautiful nudes. And sometimes you just need a nude, you know? You could still do a deep, dramatic, smoky eye with that too, which is what I love. So this one I bought at TJ Maxx and I still have not used it. It looks really pretty, but I will say the shimmers in the newer version of this look a lot better. And then she bought me these two for Christmas as well. And I have not used them yet, but they are really pretty. The packaging is really luxe. And those are some really gorgeous metallic shades. Let's swatch them because I haven't even swatched them yet. I've been like so busy. You know how the holidays are. That purple feels dry though. It is dry. It's patchy. You see how it's swatched? I mean, they're pretty, but it's kind of difficult to see like what all the fuss is about. But maybe I need to actually use them before I'm allowed to form a complete opinion. And this one is called, it says use without caution. Shade throwing and eye ecstasy may result with prolonged use. That's hilarious. I don't know like how to do like read Roman numerals once they get up so high, but it's MMXVII. So you guys can let me know what that means. Maybe that's not something I should admit online, but it's whatever. So then we have the eyeshadow quad in Daring Desire. I remember when this showed on Instagram and everyone was mad because they made it look like it was going to be a blue palette and everyone was so excited, and then they come out with this. I will say though, this is a like really pretty color story, even though it's one they've done 100 times. But you see, I don't have very many Pat McGrath things, so that doesn't really affect me. The packaging on this feels super freaking cheap though. I can say that. It's really pretty though. I'm going to keep it because Amanda bought it for me as a gift. Plus, I would like to use them so I can really gather my thoughts on this brand. Okay, I have a stack of randoms here. I have the Pure and Raw Beauty Christie collab. And I use this palette to death. And it's so funny. Like, I have pan in 2 shades over here. But everybody, like, shows this palette. And they have, like, all these shades panned. But I have all those panned. Like, I think there's 3. Yeah, 3 panned. Because I use this color side to death. I liked the neutrals as well. I'm on the fence. I'm keeping it because it's nostalgic, but I may end up decluttering this. That's a whole freaking mess, and it's very disappointing. If you know, you know. Then I picked up this from Glamlite Cosmetics, the Pretty in Pastels. I still wish I would have got that other palette, the one with the neutrals, and it was like really grungy. I wish I would have gotten it. This one was pretty. I don't know. I was a little underwhelmed, like with the shimmers, but I've swatched these a few times since I used them, and I'm starting to wonder if the reason I didn't like them was because of the glitter primer that I used for that look. And I'm wondering if it like messed with the formula, because they didn't look shiny or shimmery. But these look really beautiful. That pink would make a gorgeous highlight. So would that blue. But I really want to give this one another chance. And I want to try more from the brand. This palette I bought from Unearthly Cosmetics. This is a collab with Breezy Beauty. It's the Tropical Nights, and it hadn't even made it to me yet, and they shut down their brand, which is really sad. But that's why I never created a video with it. But I will say this palette is really freaking beautiful, and the blush that was in this collection, it's like a blush highlight palette, is so freaking stunning that it blew my freaking mind. But it's beautiful, and I do want to keep it. I want to use it. It's just hard to get to use stuff. I don't want to use it in a video, and that's when I do my makeup the most. So I haven't gotten to use it yet. Then I have 2 palettes from Melt. This is the Fatally Yours by Bailey Sarian. Oh, I love this color story, and I love Bailey Sarian so much. I didn't buy the second collab because these mattes oxidized on me so bad that the eye looks all kind of look similar. and I was just kind of disappointed. I don't know if I did something wrong or what, because everybody gave this a glowing review, and it was like people that I really love and trust, so I know that they were being honest, but I think I might have done something wrong because the look's all oxidized. Maybe it was like where I used concealer to do my eye look, that could have affected it, or anything, because you know the concealer has its own undertone. I should have tried it in different ways is what I'm saying, but it's staying for now. I still want to try it, and I loved the way that her new collab look. I love it so much. But I just picked this one up from Sephora. It was like on a huge discount, but Betty Jean from Batty Bean here on YouTube raves about this palette. It's one of her favorites, so I picked it up and I want to give it a shot. I love the lenticular motion packaging. It's super cool. Then I have 3 palettes from Simply Posh. They're supposed to be releasing a new one soon. This is Citrus Punch, and it's so freaking beautiful. Oh, it makes me so excited. I love this color story. I'm excited to have this for spring. This is my first palette from them, Aura Lights, and I had so much fun with it. I really like their formula. Love their mattes. I would be excited, though, if they did update their shimmers a little more, made them a little more impactful, but I think they have a good formula, and they are, like, relatively new brand, so I'm excited to have these in my collection. And then I have these 2 from Wicked Widow. This one is new to me, and I love it. Oh, it's so beautiful. I actually recently posted my looks with this here on YouTube, and I had so much fun playing with this palette. It is the Wicked Widow Tales of Terror. Highly recommend. And the Crow blew my freaking mind. The mattes blew my mind because I could blend these blacks out like on their own without having any of those lighter shades. I've never worked with a matte like that. It's so incredible. Love the color story. It's such a dramatic, like, vampy palette, and it's beautiful. I'm trying to get through a few of these stacks before I retire for the night and start over again tomorrow. And it looks like I've barely even put a dent in them. But I have these palettes from Lethal Cosmetics. This is the Mellow Grove. I love the packaging and stuff. You know, I really got... I went against my better judgment. I didn't think I would like this palette, and I watched reviews and people changed my mind, and I bought it, and it's just not, like, for me. I don't think it's bad quality or anything, but I bought it, used it, and forgot it. That's going to be a video coming up really soon, but I am keeping it for the sake of keeping it, but I don't really care for it. Then I have these 2. Don't ask me what their names are. I think one's called Metamorph. Maybe this one. This color story is freaking gorgeous. This one is okay, but I am keeping them both. And I'm definitely keeping my Teresa is Lethal. I freaking love her. She is hilarious and amazing, and I love her. And her palette is really beautiful too. Okay, so I have several things from Dee Signature. I have this collab that was done with Makeup on Your Radar, and it comes with the 4 palettes. This I bought recently, and I have not used them all yet. This I want to put in my highlighter collection, but I am keeping it. And then I have these ones. They are really, really beautiful, and I can't wait to get more use out of them. These would be really good travel palettes as well. This is my favorite. It really reminds me of Paradise Cove, that Glamlite, not Glamlite, I'm so sorry, Christina, that Gourmand girls did, and it's so freaking beautiful. But I'm keeping that. And then Blooming Baskets is one of my favorite color stories. I think it's so freaking gorgeous. It's such a beautiful palette. Had so much fun with it. I hope she revamps it with her new matte formula though. That would be really cool. This is my newest palette from her and it's freaking gorgeous. I actually filmed my last look with it today. These Glamlite palettes are all falling over. But as I was saying, I just filmed my last look with it today. It's such a beautiful palette, and she upgraded her packaging and everything for this. There's more weight to it. It's just a beautiful palette. She did a really good job. And we have the Dee Dee Signature Chromebook Volume 1. I've been digging into this since I've been playing with her palettes. And I love this so much. It's so fun to just pull this out to add in like other shades. It's such a fun one. And this one is not well. Like you could tell the packaging on here ripped. And like she's since then updated it and I'm very happy. I am glad to say this has the newer matte formula, but I'm glad that she started updating her packaging because this one was not it. And I am affiliated with her, but I mean, that's just not my favorite palette from them. And personally, I don't like an all matte palette. I like mattes and shimmers, so that probably adds to it. But these ones I just picked up as well. And I plan on doing looks with this one soon. But here we have the Classic Autumn, and I'm a sucker for this color story. And it has the new matte formula. They both do. And I freaking love her shimmers. And I love the packaging. I'm really happy with that one. And this one is like the ultimate Christmas palette for someone who loves color, which is me. So she is staying as well. I love them. Okay, so I have two Cliona palettes. This is the Dragon Fruit palette, and they did send me the new packaging, which I really appreciated, and I like this a lot better. I love this palette. It's another one of those fun ones to add like special shades. I must have scratched that at some point because that's an actual mark. That did not fall out, so I've done something, but it's such a beautiful palette. And I love pulling it out to create some fun looks and stuff. So it is staying. Same with this one. I picked this up this year. They relaunched the other two and then they did this one. And it's such a freaking gorgeous color story. I love the shimmers. I love everything about it. They did the most with that one. Okay, so I have three Natasha Denona palettes. This one I just got in BoxyCharm. I haven't used it yet, but this is another one of those really pretty travel palettes. Those are like so sparkly and beautiful. And then I have the Zendo, which is really pretty. And I enjoyed it when I created a look with it. But to be honest, I haven't thought about it since. But I do want to keep it because of my YouTube channel. This one, however, I really, really loved. It's the My Dream palette. And I picked up the Cheek palette that like launched with this while I was in Vegas, and I love it so freaking much. I'm so glad that I bought it, but I wish I would have bought it sooner. This is a very smoky palette. It's freaking gorgeous. This should have been in my voted most drama queen video that I did today. Okay, so next we're going to talk about ABH. I only have 3 palettes from ABH. This is a newer modern renaissance that Amanda bought for me. My old crusty one is put like in a nostalgic bin, but this is like the most beautiful palette for soft glam, and it's modern renaissance, which it's iconic. I have to keep it. Oh wait, that's Sigma. Then I have Jackie Aina, and I freaking love this palette. As you can tell, it's very well used, and I have hit pan in a couple of the shades. It's just so freaking beautiful. Probably one of my favorite ABH releases. It's a tie between that and Subculture, which I got this at a Marshall's, and I love this color story. I love that they chose to put this blue in here. I think it's so freaking beautiful. Then we'll do Sigma. These are all staying as well. See, now it's getting a little harder to get rid of stuff. But these are all good. This is the Alice in Wonderland, and it's freaking beautiful. I love Sigma's formula. This is my favorite Sigma palette, though, the Corta Rosa. Such a freaking gorgeous palette. Oh, it makes me so happy to look at it. It's like so spring and summer. And this is my newest one, the Little Mermaid. This one is really gorgeous, too. More colorful. But I think Corta Rosa might still be my favorite. This is probably my second. It reminds me of us having COVID, though, which sucks. That was hell on earth. This is a palette from She Glam. It's the Lively Leo. A friend of mine and Amanda's bought me this for my birthday. And that glitter shade is really, really pretty. But it's all warm tones, which I do love. So I'm keeping that. And Unearthly Cosmetics, oh my god, this palette blew me away. It's like one of those palettes that are just unforgettable. This color story is freaking gorgeous. So that made me buy this one on Black Friday. I really want Maneater, but it's always sold out, which makes me freaking sad. I think they restocked and then it sold out before I got to the site, but this one is really beautiful. I have not used it yet, but Jesus, that shade right there, oh my god. That is so gorgeous. It's like silk. I love them. They're so freaking amazing. And then, ooh, wait. What if you did that on the outer part of the lid with, is it that one? Yeah. We'll do this purple one. You could do this on the outer corner. It's a bad swatch. And then deepen up with a little bit of the black. So add that to the end so you guys can like get the vibes. Hang in there, you'll see. I love palettes that make me like see looks immediately. It makes me so freaking happy. But this shade would be pretty if you could tie it into this as well, but so would leaves. You do leaves on the inner corner and blend it out with the white so that you can like lighten it. Unless you have a deeper skin tone, then you wouldn't need to do that. But they have a very easy like to work with formula. But then take Crisp and put this on the inner corner in the front half of the lid. Maybe even like add a little bit of transition. That color story, I know it looks weird, but if you have this palette, try it and let me know what you think. That is so freaking beautiful. I hope I can remember to do that myself, but I can't wait to play with this palette. I think it's gorgeous. These are definitely staying. And this is one of those brands that I have my eye on this year because it's gorgeous. Okay, that's it for tonight. I will be back in just a second for you guys. And we will get through this. There's a lot here still. And it's going to be difficult because at least 95% of them are palettes I really love. And they are all from brands that I really love. I am back and I'm ready to get through these palettes so I can clean up my room and start filming looks with another palette today, which I'm really excited to get into. So, where do we start? That's the question. So, I have these Fantasy Cosmetica palettes. I have them all, and that makes my heart so happy. Amanda bought them all for me for Christmas, which I've told you guys a bunch of times, but if you're new here, you wouldn't know that, which is why I keep saying it. But I love Fantasy Cosmetica, and I'm so excited to have these. Some of them I have not used yet, but here we have the Bard. All of these are staying. Rogue is so freaking gorgeous. Oh, it's so pretty. I love this, the cool tone vibes. This is such a gorgeous winter palette. And then we have Sorcerer, which is, you know, a colorful dream. Love it. Fighter, I love this one too. It's so like smoky and cool toned, and I love the mustard up here. This is one of my favorites from them, the Wizard palette. I love this palette so much. She is well loved and used. Look at that shade right there. It's so freaking stunning. Oh, this is not in the right place. And then we have Warlock. This one is really beautiful as well. I love this. Like the grungy tones mixed with like this bright pop of green. It's so stunning. This is one of my favorites, the Druid. You guys know I love like those swampy colors. This is such a fun palette, great for fall. And then we have the Enchanted Autumn. This is the collab with Makeup Just for Fun, who I got to meet at the Creators and Friends event, which was super exciting. But this is such a gorgeous, like muted fall color story. And it's like one of a kind. It's gorgeous. I haven't seen, like, there are other palettes similar to it, but I've not seen other fall releases similar to it. And then we have the Cradled in Ice. This is another gorgeous winter palette with its beautiful muted cool tones. I love it so much. And this is my new favorite, the Harvest of Souls, which I think they're working on a restock for next year. I think they said, but don't count me on that. Follow them on Instagram if you want updates, but this palette is one of my favorites of the year. It's so freaking stunning. This color story is gorgeous. I love like the bright pastel pop of green right there and the pastel yellow. I mean, I don't even know my colors, guys. The pastel purple, it's so beautiful. This swampy green gets me every freaking time, but this is such a gorgeous palette and I love the artwork. Their stained glass like stuff is my favorite though. I think it's so freaking beautiful. I definitely like have favorites from certain brands. Well, you can tell like the brands that I really love because I've collected a lot, and some of them I don't love as much as I used to, but I still love them. And this brand being one of them. These are my Gourmand Girls palettes. So most of my favorites are in like these long 14 pan palettes. I love them so much. So this is their newest. I got it in PR and I love it so much. Had I not gotten it in PR, I would have bought it because I love this color story with my whole heart. It's one of my top favorite Gourmand Girl palettes. It's between this one and Peach Perfect. Oh, it's so freaking stunning. This palette just blows my mind. I went nuts over this palette. It's so fun, and the color story with the greens and the peaches and the muted greens, it's such a good one, and highly recommend you guys check out my video if you haven't done so already. One of my favorite looks I've ever created, I created with this palette. It's freaking darling, and she is bringing it back, and I'm so excited that she's restocking it. And then we have these other long palettes. So Spooked is on its way to me right now, and I'm excited for that. I can't wait. I am going to do looks with Spooked as well, but here we have the Silent Night, and she is beautiful. What I'm probably going to do though is I'm going to do like a 3 looks video and do a look with each palette. That way I can get looks up with all of them. But here we have Haunted. This one is really beautiful as well. It's so gorgeous. This one, the Silent Night, I'm pretty sure was a collab with Doodles by the Bunny as well. I didn't say that. I think these ones were as well. But I love Haunted. This one's newer to my collection. I bought it this fall, and I'm so glad I did. I love Nightshade too. This color story is probably my favorite out of these two, but I really love them both. But I love these like deep colors with these brighter colors. It's so beautiful. This one is so bright and beautiful. It is the Nueva Vida. This was a collab with Steph's Beauty Stash, and this palette is so chaotic and beautiful. I've created some really fun looks with this. I think it's so freaking spectacular. These two are neons, but for some reason you can't see that that orange is a neon on camera, which is the craziest thing. Let me turn my lights off and see if we can tell. Yes. No, you see how it like color corrects itself? It's crazy. It's such a gorgeous palette though. I'm pretty sure it's still in stock. Okay, so then I have these ones that I got in PR. I got Calavera. We'll start with that one. That one I bought myself. Okay. Calavera was my first PR palette from Gourmand Girls, and I lost my mind. This palette is so freaking gorgeous. I love it. I love these shimmer shades that are in here, especially these two marbled shades. They're so beautiful as highlight. This is just a really fun palette. It's one of those palettes that can give you looks throughout the year. If you like to do looks by season or holiday, there is something in this one for every time of the year. And then these ones, we have the El Camino. This one is new to me, and I haven't gotten to use it yet, but I really like the color story of this because it's different. It's different than anything I've seen, and I really like that. I like chaotic kind of color stories. And then we have the Galactic Gourmand, and it's an all shimmer palette. I do have a few of these. She sent me these in PR, but this one's really pretty. I haven't even swatched it yet, but I can't wait to. And then Ethereal, which is another all shimmer. I have used a few of the shades in this to like complete looks, and I've loved them so far. And same with Radioactive. It's really beautiful. I'm a sucker for like a beautiful shimmer, and she has one of my favorite shimmer formulas. And then Secret Grove, I do have a look with this one, but it's not up yet because it's a collab video, but I've loved this one. I've had so much fun with it. Highly recommend. I love like the brighter pops of color mixed with like these grungy muted tones. I think it is so beautiful. And then my last two, these ones I bought myself. This is the Gourmand Girls and Ladybug Glow Paradise Cove. I love this color story so much. I think it's so freaking beautiful. I love everything about it. I love the matte to shimmer ratio. It's such a gorgeous palette. And then the Gourmandizes, I think is how she said to pronounce it, but this one is really pretty as well. Okay, so I have 5 palettes from Lunar Beauty. I don't know if these will like stay after this year though. I'll have to like feel it out for next year because I don't really use them all, but I do like most of them. So this is the 12 Days of Lunar. This was an advent calendar that he released at the end of 2021, I believe, and it's so beautiful. And then this is probably the one that I would get rid of, the Nude Prism. It's just too neutral for me. And if it's like pinky neutral, I can do like grungy neutrals and stuff like that, but this just isn't my kind of neutral. This palette I freaking love. The Moon Shroom. I love the artwork and stuff on this one. It's so beautiful, but I really love this color story. I think this is one of the most beautiful palettes that he has released, and I'm so excited to have it in my collection. And then we have the Siren Sunset. This one is really beautiful as well, and it does have a lot of neutrals, but I like these cool tone neutrals. I think they're gorgeous. I had a lot of fun with this palette. It's a really fun one, but if I'm being straight with you, this is a palette that I used, like created my looks with, and then I've never picked it up again. This one I have used several times on and off camera. I really enjoy that one. This one's pretty as well, but this is what I mean. If I wanted neutrals, these are the kind of neutrals I would go for because they're cooler, but you also have those swampy shades as well. But this palette hasn't been used very much in my collection either. I do like Lunar Beauty though. I love like other products that he has, like the setting powders and the highlighters and the blushes and the lip products. And I do like his eyeshadow formula. It's just, we have completely different likes and dislikes for color stories. Okay, now let's move on to Glamlite. I have been collecting Glamlite palettes for a few years now, and I love Glamlite for the most part. It depends on which formula they release stuff in, because they do have a formula that I don't like. But most of these are like good formulas, but there are some that I'm going to get rid of because they're just stupid to store. This one is not hard to store because you can keep it like in the box. This is the Glam Donut, but it's really, really pretty. Let me show you. But I think I'm going to get rid of it because it's so bulky and I don't use it. I'm thinking about like selling some of these on Mercari, but it might be a while before I actually do that because that's going to take a lot of time to take pictures of everything and get it all uploaded. But this one I am going to let go of. And then we have the Barbie palette. I really, really love this one a whole lot. This is the Dream Summer palette. And I think it's so beautiful. I love this color story. The palette is a bit messy because there was a lot of like oil seepage from this palette, and it's like stained the packaging and stuff, but it's still a beautiful palette and I do want to keep it. And then I have the Michaela Part 2, the big palette. It's really, really beautiful. I have the other one as well right here. Might as well go ahead and talk about that one too. I don't really use this one like at all. It's really pretty though, so I do want to keep it because I do like to collect Glamlite palettes. As long as they're not too big or misshaped and they don't get on my nerves, I want to keep them. This was my favorite palette for such a long time. It was the Ice Cream Dream, I'm pretty sure. I can't tell you because the words are like gone off the front, but it's such a beautiful palette. I had so much fun with this. I love the pastels. They're still some of my top favorite pastels in my collection. And I really loved this Scooby-Doo Part 2. I'm pretty sure this was Part 2. This is like so bright and colorful and fun and beautiful, and I want to keep that one. And then we have the Glamlite Cake palette. I love the packaging on this. It's so freaking cute, but I wanted this palette for a really long time, and I bought it like a year or two ago, and it's really, really pretty. Again, with that oil seepage, they need to take some of like the oils out of their eyeshadow formula, but I think it's beautiful. I love a rainbow palette as well, but I'm gonna be honest, I have way too many in my collection. I might like end up letting this one go eventually, but I'm not there right now. However, I am gonna let this one go. I wanted this for so long, and Amanda bought it for me, and I was so excited to get it, but it's a pain in the butt to freaking store this. You have to like store it down flat. It drives me nuts when I have palettes that don't store the same as all the other ones, and if they're like laying in different directions, I can't stand that. So this one I am gonna let go of. We have a lot more Glamlite to go. So let's see. Okay, so this palette, I love the color story and I really love the formula that's in this, but it's one of those palettes, like I mentioned earlier, I used it and I forgot that it even exists in my collection. But it is really beautiful and it's great quality, but I'm still gonna keep it. And then the palettes from this happy hour collection are some of my absolute favorites. I love the chocolate martini. It's like one of my favorites from that collection as well. And then here is the margarita. This is probably my least favorite, but I still love it and still want to keep it. And then we have the Dirty Martini. I love this green, like, monochromatic palette. This is one of my favorite green monochromatic palettes in my collection. It's so freaking gorgeous. And this was my favorite purple until I got the one that was done in collaboration with Deandra Nicole from Bella Beauty Bar. Now that's my favorite, but I still really love this one. And this palette got so much use. Orange and blue are two of my favorite colors, especially in eyeshadow. And I love this one so freaking much. It's still a gorgeous palette. Great formula. And then we have the Good Guys palette. I love the packaging on this one, the lenticular motion, but the color story, while it does match the packaging very well and like Chucky's aesthetic, I just wish they would have put more thought into this. It's like very Crayola, like too Crayola, and it's all of these shades are like really, really deep. I don't know. It's not my favorite from them, but it's staying. And then I have these two from Scooby-Doo, and these are very, very dark palettes. And just like that, this one, I can create looks with them, but they are not standalones. I would definitely have to pull something else in to create a whole look. And this one I bought to review, but I got so overwhelmed that I actually never reviewed it. And it's a beautiful palette, but I still haven't gotten to use it yet. And then I have the two Icy palettes. The Blue Raspberry, which I love blue, so you know I love that palette. And this is a really freaking gorgeous, like, red and pink palette. It's so stunning. So I want to keep that as well. This is my current favorite from Glamlite. It's so gorgeous. I love the Garfield palette so much. It's so pretty, and like the color story is just gorgeous. And I love the gray in this palette. It adds like so much to the palette. It makes it to where you can really create different looks. And then we have the Betty Boop. This palette is really beautiful too, but they messed up by putting it on like a red background because it washes the palette out. It looks much better when it's swatched out, and it has such a good formula in it. It's so beautiful. And I remember Betty Boop from back in the day. And then we have the Halloween 2 that released this year. This is a really gorgeous color story. I had a lot of fun with this one, and I definitely want to keep it. Ooh, and I love this one, the Ghostface Lives. This one surprised me. I love this palette so freaking much. Such a good color story and formula. Same with this one, the Crazy in Love. This released on Valentine's Day of, not this year, but last. And I picked it up over the summer, and I'm glad I did. It actually goes really well with that Chucky, not the Chucky palette, the Garfield palette. And then we have this year's Halloween launch, the Ghostface Returns. This one is really pretty as well. I don't know. I think I might prefer the first one, but I like this one a lot too. And unfortunately, these ones are not good quality. This is the Friday the 13th, and it's not bad quality, it's just not good either. This does not have their like normal really good formula in it, so this one was a miss for me, and it's probably one I'll eventually get rid of. But where I do have all of, well, I don't have them all. I didn't buy the the Freddy Krueger ones either. And I heard that those have like the same formula as this. So that's why I never picked them up. But I do have most of them, so I would like to keep them. And then we have this Kiss palette, which was not good at all. And I might sell this, the whole collection, because I didn't really care for any of it, to be honest. And I paid a lot of money for that collection. So I'm trying to get some money back, you know? But those are all of my Glamlite palettes. They were my favorite brand for a very long time. And they're still up there. But it's like the indie brands, the smaller indie brands have just taken over my life. I'm going to put the Kiss palette in the declutter pile. God, guys, my room up here is a freaking disaster. It makes me want to cry. It's such a mess. But it's going to feel so good once I get it all cleaned back up and everything like organized and put away. I'm going to be so happy. But next, I want to do Colourpop. And I have quite a few of Colourpop because they used to be like one of my favorites before I tried like smaller indie brands with the special shades. And I really had more of a understanding of different formulas and stuff like that. It's like one of those things at the drugstore, they are the best. But now that I have branched out a lot, I have favorites, and honestly, I don't really reach for these palettes at all, and I'm probably going to get rid of a lot of them, except for the ones that I have like a sentimental attachment to. Those are the ones that I want to keep. Like right off, I know I want to keep the two Hocus Pocus palettes. And I love them. They're dusty. Like, I really don't use them. This is my least favorite. I'm only keeping it because it's Hocus Pocus. And I love this one. It was such a fun palette. I had so much fun with it. So those two I am keeping. The Fade into Hue I'm going to finally let go of. But I used this a lot for a very long time. But now, like, look how much dust, like eyeshadow dust and stuff got on that. That one I probably will have to give away. This one I am letting go of, the Pokemon in Colourpop. I promised this out to someone already, but it's just, their formula is just not my favorite. So that one's going. So this one I want to keep because I really do want to start doing like build your own palette videos eventually once I get time, but these are the only matte singles that I have, so I do want to keep them for that reason. These little like hard packaging ones I also want to keep because these were, is that all I have? I might be missing some. They might be mixed up in here because I thought I had no, I gave the green one away. The green one, the purple one, and the red one. But these ones I really want to keep. I got so much use out of these three. They were some of my first palettes, so I do want to keep them for that. And I actually really like the Wine and Only palette. I like mixing it with this palette and the Limelight. Such a gorgeous color combo. So those are staying as well. I also really want to keep the App for a Sight palette from Robert Christie's collab. Oh, that's a whole thing. I already mentioned it earlier, but I had so much attachment to this, and I'm still not ready to let it go just yet. Okay, I think I'm going to keep these two. The Star Wars palettes. I really love these color stories a lot, and I'm going to keep those, but I think the rest of these I'm going to let go of. So this one I bought last winter, and it's not bad, but it's just not my vibe. And this one I reviewed over spring, and it's a pretty palette, just not my favorite. I love this color story, but I do have the Star Wars ones. The Child, I'm pretty sure it's called, or the Mandalorian, and this one. It's just, I'm never going to use it. And then I actually really love this color story, but I have the one from Fantasy Cosmetica, and then we have the Miami Heat. This one has never even been used, and this one I really did love as well. I reviewed this over the spring. It is the Lost in Love, but I'm going to let go of all of these. I need more space in my collection, too. I really don't want to have to buy another shelf if I can help it. So I'm happy to let those ones go. Next is Odin's Eye. Odin's Eye has one of my like favorite formulas. I really love them. I know they're very hit or miss for some people. It's like if you love them, you really love them. But if you hate them, you like really hate them. And I'm still in the I love you phase. Okay, so I did some moving around so the palettes could actually be in the center. Now that we're almost like done, not literally, but you know what I mean. I was being sarcastic. So, like I said, Odin's Eye. So I have 4 palettes here on top that I picked up recently when they launched their new Christmas palettes. The first one is Silvery Bells. I am so in love with this color story. I actually am going to do some looks with this today. This palette is so freaking gorgeous. I cannot wait to put it on my face. I think it's so beautiful. The color story is like 10 out of 10. The pictures just do not do it justice. You don't want to see me right now because I look rough, but this is so freaking beautiful. I cannot wait to use this. This one is supposed to be a Christmas palette. I think this one released this year as well. And it looks like spring to me more than anything. I mean, it could be winter because it does have the muted tones and stuff, but it looks very spring-esque to me, but it is very, very beautiful. And then we have the two that launched last year. So this is Hey Reindeer. I actually bought these in a bundle, and if you pick them up, like the only way you can get one of these ones, I think it's Hey Reindeer, is if you pick it up in that 4 like palette bundle. But this is so beautiful. I love the muted color story. I think it's such a gorgeous palette, and I just love looking at this color story. Like, oh, it's delicious. And I love like the muted cool tones with this pop of yellow. I think it's darling. This is one of my other favorites. It's the Snow Dream. And I'm saying favorites based solely on color story. This is so freaking gorgeous. I love this so very much. I think it's such a beautiful palette. And I can't wait to play with this one as well. It's just so stunning. I can't wait to swatch it. Look at that shade, like how sparkly it is, but it's staying. They're all staying, all the Odin's Eye for sure. These are two of my absolute favorite Odin's Eye palettes. It's the original Christmas release that they had. So this is the Merry Christmas. It is so beautiful. I love this one so freaking much. I will never let that go. And this is the Christmas Eve palette. And this one is, I think, is my favorite out of the two. I just love this color story. It's freaking gorgeous. And then I have the 3 Angelica collabs that they did. So the first one was the Hella palette, and this one will never leave either. I love this. I've gotten so much use out of it. I have pan in both these shades. It's just so stunning. I love the pink and greens, especially with these like more murky, swampy greens. I just think they're so gorgeous. And then we have her Halloween launch she did with them, the Little Ghost palette. I love how vibrant and beautiful this color story is. It just makes me so happy. And then the Trick or Treat palette. I'm over here throwing stuff. This one is just as gorgeous. I love this like deepened olive. It's like blackened. It's so freaking gorgeous. And that one's staying. Then I also have these 3 collabs, which I do love as well. First, we have the Flora Story from Makeup Just for Fun. And I love this. It's like a miniature version of the one palette that I really love from Cosmic Brushes. I'm drawing a complete blank. The Muse palette, and it's so beautiful. I think she did a great job on this color story. I really love the Sea Talk as well. Such a gorgeous palette. It's a good travel palette. And then we have Planet Spirit. This one's pretty too, but it's my least favorite out of these 3 collab palettes. And then I have these palettes. These are all collab palettes. So one of you guys sent me this palette, which was really sweet because I actually bought all 3 from this collection, but during my breakup last year when I lost all of my belongings, these were taken from me and I hadn't even opened them yet. So the only one that I got was the Giant Wolves, which I love. But one of you guys sent me this and it really meant a lot to me. I love it so much. This was my favorite color story and I'm excited that I finally have it in my hands. And then the Giant Wolves, like I said, is one of my favorites from Odin's Eye. It's so beautiful. That's Annette's from Annette's Makeup Corner, and this one was with Fancy Face. And these are the ones that launched, I think, this year. So we have Fancy Face again. I think this one is really pretty. And the Spring Dragon. This is a like not a standalone palette for me. It's too light for my taste. But out of these 3 collabs, the Mighty Monster is my favorite. I think it's beautiful. And then we have the Soul Mane 2, which looks like this. It's really pretty. And then the Soul Mane 2 Part 1. It's really beautiful. I love this shade. The Macaroni and Cheese shade just does something to me. It makes me so happy. It's in this palette as well. I love it. It reminds me of Kraft macaroni and cheese, the powder that you put in the noodles. I should have started keeping count of all of these palettes, because now I'm going to have to count them after we get done looking at everything, which is going to take forever. I can tell you by just looking at what's left, there's going to be only one palette that I get rid of out of all of this. So what we have left is Unearthly, Bella Beauty Bar, Ensley Rain, Adept, Nomad, Cosmic Brushes, and Blend Bunny. So let's get to the palette that I'm actually going to get rid of, which is from my Nomad stack, which I did get rid of those 3 other little palettes. Those just weren't my vibe, but I think I'm going to let go of this palette because it's so hard pan, and I know I'm never going to pull it out because the shimmers are unusable. The mattes are really good. Some of the shimmers are good, but most of them are too hard pan. You can't use them, and it's disappointing, but because Amanda bought me this as a gift, but there's no point in keeping it. These ones are new to me, and I'm excited. Actually, all 3 of these. So we have the Ghost Town, and I love the lenticular motion packaging. It's really freaking cute, and I really like the longer format of palettes they did. I love this Cool Tone color story. It's delicious. And then we have the Haunted Europe. I'm really excited about this one. I accidentally broke my packaging because I like to hold my... I just broke it the rest of the way. Help me. Send help. But I like to fold my palettes back like this, and I try to do it with that, and I broke it. So I'm going to have to get some hot glue or some tape and fix that, but that's my fault, not the palettes. But this palette is gorgeous. I hope I didn't break it too much, and now it won't close. Okay, it closes, but I'm going to have to get some hot glue to fix that immediately. I don't know why I tried to do it again. My brain sometimes just does not process things the way it should. But then we have the Polar Express, which I have not used yet, and I wasn't sure if I was going to, but I think I'm going to do something with it because I've had a few of you ask me to, and it's such a gorgeous palette. I'm excited to have it. And then we have these. The Ireland Atlantic Way is such a gorgeous green monochromatic palette. It's so freaking beautiful. One that I am happy to have. I love it very much. And like I was saying about the hard pan and that one, that's the only palette that I've ever had issues with the actual formula. They have a really good formula, and I really love it. This is one of my all-time favorites from them. The New Zealand Stargazing. I love this color story so much. It's so freaking beautiful, and I just can't get over it. This one is really beautiful as well. The Fiji 5 Lakes. This was a really good palette from them, and I've had a lot of fun with it. It did have some oil seepage too, but I don't really care about that. I just want you guys to have all the facts when I talk about stuff. And I really love this one as well. A lot. Almost as much as I love the New Zealand Stargazing palette. And it is the Nishago. The Chicago Speakeasy. And I love this. Even though it's a very neutral color story. Not really though. It's just... the colors are muted, but I've really been into that lately. it's like a new favorite thing to add, like to do looks with. So I'm really into this palette. I think it's gorgeous. This was like one of my first palettes from Nomad, and it's so freaking beautiful. The Nomad Royal Europe. The packaging on this is so cool. You can kind of see how it's like 4D. It's so awesome. And I think it's great. I love the color story. I wish it had lighter shades, but I don't think this palette was made for that. I think it was meant to be like a dramatic smoky palette. So all you got to do is add stuff in. But I'm just saying. Nomad is one of my favorite brands, though. I really, really love them. Another one of my favorite brands of all time is Ensley Rain. I love them with my whole entire heart. I love every single Ensley Rain palette I have ever tried. Never had a dud of any kind. It's just so freaking amazing. They make me so happy. I'm waiting on their newest collection and the new 6 p.m. with the fox. I'm over here throwing stuff. These are not the palettes that I want to break. Oh, I love these long palettes from them, like, so very much. I love them. And I have 5 of them, but I have I think it's Light in Your Eyes palette that just came out. It's on its way. So let's start with the 6 pans. I love these. I brought this one with me traveling to Vegas, and it worked really good. It's one of those, like, palettes that you can use to do like really quick looks, and I loved it for that. I got the hiccups. But what I was saying, and I really, really love this one. I love the color story. I love these shimmers. I think they look so beautiful with the mattes. I had a really good time creating looks with this one, and I'll probably bring both of these with me on my next trips. And I'm excited to see like what other ones they come out with. But I will say, I think the Fox palette, I can't remember the name of it. That one is probably going to be my favorite color story because it is gorgeous. I know it's stupid, but that was killing me that those palettes weren't like lining up right. It's so dumb. Okay, so next let's move on to these smaller palettes. I love these palettes. I've had a few people mention in my comments that they didn't think they were the same formula. And I don't know, like, if maybe you guys got a dud or something, but I personally love these palettes a whole lot. I had so much fun creating looks with them. This one is my favorite out of the two, but I really love this one as well. They are such great standout palettes to me, and I had so much fun creating looks. They also look really good mixed together, but I think they're freaking beautiful. Personally, that has been my, experience. But this is the Lands of Enchantment. This one I bought recently, just a few weeks back, and I've not gotten to use it as a standalone, but I have used it off camera, and it is freaking beautiful. I want to create more looks with it. We should totally do some winter looks videos and create some looks with this palette. It's just so beautiful. I'm so happy to have it in my collection. I have a few new ones that I just picked up from them, actually, like 5. This is one of them, the Twisted Tea Party. Unfortunately, this one sold out. I was like one of the last people to buy it, and it's not coming back. I feel like they might bring it back, though, if enough people like wrote them on Instagram asking for it. They're probably not bringing it back because they don't think it will sell, but this palette is freaking gorgeous, and I've had so much fun with it. I recently just ranked it in my November ranking. I just think it's incredible. And then we have the Dreamer. I love this palette a lot, but it's probably my least favorite color story out of the other palettes I have from them, but it is still beautiful. I had a lot of fun with it when I played with it. It's just not like one of my most reach for Ensley Rain palettes, but it is gorgeous. And then we have the Underland. This is one of their newer palettes, and it is beautiful. I love the artwork. I love just the whole vibes of it. And I freaking love this color story so much. This is one of my favorite palettes that have released this year. And that's no easy task, but it's so good. And I just think it's beautiful. I love how dark and grungy it is. Such a fun palette. Then we have these 5 big palettes. Most of these are new to me. Well, 3 out of 5, but this is the Harvest Moon. This one is new to me, and it's so beautiful. I love how dark it is and just gorgeous. I've had people say that that palette reminds them of this one, and I think the reason why is because of how deep it is, and like the vibes are kind of similar, but the colors are like completely different. At least I feel like they are. I think it depends on what your like color preferences are before you might believe that as well, but I think this is so beautiful. I love the shimmers in this, but I also really enjoy the mattes too. This is such a beautiful palette. Groovy Garden was my first palette from them, and it's what made me fall so in love with the brand. I love this color story. I just think it's so beautiful. I had so much fun with it. I still have so much fun with it. It's a palette that I think to pull out of my collection to use off camera a lot. And it's such a good one. And then Cold Moon. I have fallen so in love with this palette this year, and I think it's beautiful. I've fallen so in love with cool tones this year. So this palette was a great find for me, and I've gotten a lot of use out of it. I accidentally like knocked a chunk of matte black out, which sucks, but it's a great palette. And these 2 are new to me. Strawberry Moon, I can't remember if I've used this. No, I haven't used Strawberry Moon yet. I just bought this, but this palette is beautiful. And I'm so excited to have it. That shade, oh, looks so gorgeous. I really haven't even swatched anything in this video, but I just woke up. So I haven't swatched a lot in the last half anyway, but that is so pretty. Oh, it makes me so happy. And then let's do Eden. They have one of my favorite shimmer formulas of all time. It's between them and probably Bella Beauty Bar. They're so gorgeous. What else? Ooh, this one looks pretty. And so does that mustard. That's so gorgeous. They look beautiful. Let's do the mustard too. That feels a little drier. Doesn't swatch that way though. It just keeps going and going. It's so gorgeous. They have such a great formula. I could not recommend them more. And then this one I got to try recently, and I've been using it off camera. It's the Flower Moon, and I love this. I love like these swampy shades. It's very like garden-esque, so the name is like literally perfect for it. My only like nitpick thing with this palette is like these 3 greens are kind of similar, a little too similar. They look different when you swatch them out, but on the eye they do look similar. So that's the only thing, but it's such a gorgeous palette, and I am definitely keeping all of my Ensley Rain babies. They're some of my favorite. Like I said, Ensley Rain and Bella Beauty Bar have 2 of my top favorite formulas. And if I had to pick between the 2 brands, I think the thing that would pull me more towards Bella Beauty Bar is they're really good at like making more curated color stories. Like they make great color stories as well, but the mattes in them feel kind of easy. They're a little gradient like. Maybe it's just the way they're laying them in there, but they are really beautiful. I just feel like the colors are easy to pair together, and so that might make it other people's favorite because their color stories are easier to work with if you like those like quick types of looks. But if you like what I like, which is two-tone looks, you might like Bella Beauty Bar more because their like color stories are a little, well, that's not a good example. Let me find a different one. That's not a good example either. They have palettes like this that the color story is a little more like sporadic, and you like really got to think about what you want to do, and I like stuff like that. They have both though, but that's my favorite thing about their palettes. Okay, so moving on to Adept. I don't have very many palettes from them, but I do love them very, very much. They do a more like shimmer to matte ratio, and I like kind of like equal or maybe even a little more mattes than shimmers, but their shimmers are so good. They're so out of this world. This is one of the best palettes I think that they'll have launched. It's the Heather Austin palette, and they created such a gorgeous color story together. We need wipes because I know I'm going to swatch. I love their shimmers, but these shimmers in this palette are so freaking amazing. Oh my goodness. Let me turn my lights down so we can actually see those shifts, but they are so beautiful. Oh, and this one, video chat, is so pretty too. She did such a great job. And look at those. They make me so excited. They're so beautiful. And I really enjoy their matte formula as well, but the shimmers are where it's at. This is my newest, I believe, the Vivette. And I think this is beautiful. I didn't see anyone do looks with this palette, and to be honest, my video did not get very many views either, but this palette is so freaking beautiful. I literally just gasped the whole time I was swatching this for that video. It's just so beautiful. Let's do this one as well. The shade Magic, which is this one right here, it just really blows my mind. It's such a good one. So freaking sparkly and just gorgeous. I don't know if that's my favorite anymore. This one, it's one of my favorites. I think my favorite though is this one, the Amy Loves palette, and I love this palette even more than I expected to. It's so freaking gorgeous. I love this cool tone color story, but the pinks with the cool tone neutrals and just those colorful shimmers, they're so gorgeous. They make me so happy. And like, look at this shade. Hold on, my hand's a little damp, but it's just, it looks so wet looking, so shimmery. And the silvers in this one are so freaking good too. I hit a wet spot. But look at that. Like, nothing should ever be allowed to be that good. It's so breathtaking. Oh, they just have such a great shimmer formula. It's at the point now where it's almost hard to even pick a favorite brand because there are so many good indie brands, and I love like finding new ones. I think it's so fun. I love trying new ones. Let me know your favorites down below. There are definitely a lot of brands I have not tried. And then we have the Unity. This one is beautiful as well. I had a lot of fun with this. So this is like a more affordable palette for them because this one does not have, it's like all metallics, but these are such gorgeous like high shine metallics. They are really, really pretty, but those special shades are more expensive for them to make. So I really do love that they did something that's a little more affordable. That way people can like get to experience the excitement of an Adept palette, but those are like so shiny and just truly gorgeous. This was my second palette from them, the Sumerian Sunset. And I love the shimmers in this palette. I love the mattes as well, but it's not a standalone palette for me because it's not deep enough. But this palette is gorgeous. Let me see if I can like get them to show. They're so beautiful, like out of this world. So, oh, okay, so this one, look at that. It's just so beautiful. And then, oh, it's hard to choose. This is one of my favorite shades, Packled. Now I have the one from Unearthly that's kind of similar to this that just came out in the Just a Taste palette. They're just so beautiful. This one is one of my favorite hollows in my collection. It reminds me of a hollow that's in the Frozen Kiss palette from Gourmand Girls. So beautiful. I don't know why I didn't swatch those hollows because they're really beautiful. Let's do a comparison swatch, actually. If I can dig it out of this pile, which is very big. Like my whole behind me and the floor is like covered in palettes. But the shade I'm talking about is this shade right here called, I can't say that, it's in Spanish. Okay, so the one from Gourmand Girls is a little more blue. This one's like green yellow, but if my camera will focus, it's like so, my camera keeps going out of focus, but it's like so sparkly and just beautiful. So beautiful. I'll show you the other one since we're here. I have a few other favorite shades. This is the shade Dewdrop, and it's a hollow too, but the hollow glitters in that shade are so micro fine and beautiful that it's such a good job on that palette and the color story. It's one of my favorite winter releases, probably my favorite winter release so far, actually. And then we have Snow Globe, and I'm so in love with these marbled shades. They're gorgeous. I'll do Snow Globe down here. It's like purple, blue. I can't tell if it has holographic glitters or if it's because of the swatch. Like my hands are covered. And then Ice Crystals is so pretty. Look how like bright and beautiful. I didn't put it in a very good spot. It doesn't do it justice. Let's do it on the thumb. Might help if I put it in frame. But it's so pretty. Oh, I just love it. I love the shimmers in this palette as well as the ones in the Frozen Kiss, but both are beautiful. So actually, I think this is my newest palette. The Vivette or Vivette, I don't know how to say it. This is their newest release, but my newest palette is Cyborg Choir. And I bought this off of some of your recommendation. And you guys are brilliant because this palette is freaking brilliant. So I used it recently in a collab video that I did, which will already be up. It was with Rachel from Shimmers and Silver. I highly recommend you check out both of our videos, but this palette is so delicious. I want to like create some standalone like looks with just a palette because it's so pretty. My hands are wet from that wipe, which is not going to make the swatch very nice. But something I learned recently is that they do not put glitter particles in their palettes, which is really nice. Look at the holographicness. You could see it like so strongly. And this palette is packed with holochromes. And you guys know like how much I love them. They make me so excited. Oh, so pretty. This palette is so gorgeous. I love you guys so much for telling me about it. Which I saw it when it launched, but a bunch of other stuff was launching at the same time. And there are other brands I try to follow closely, like Unearthly and Ensley Rain and Cosmic Brushes, Bella Beauty Bar. So sometimes I can't afford to like pick up their palettes too because them and Ensley Rain are like expensive, but for good reason because they have a gorgeous formula. It's another hollow. Let's pick out a few more. I don't want to swatch them all. I mean, I do, but we probably don't have time for that. Oh, man. That yellow is... I'm just going to swatch the rest of them, guys. I can't stop myself. I'm not in control. This one is really pretty. Oh, that is so pretty. Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow. That reminds me of another shade in my collection, but I do not remember where it's at, like which palette it's in. And then you got this really bright. Oh, do you see that? Oh my God. Look at that. That's my first time swatching that shade. Oh my God, that is so beautiful. Oh man, I really gotta play with this palette very soon. Okay, then we'll do the yellow, and then I also didn't do that pink, so we'll do that next. This yellow is so pretty. I picked up too much. But it's like a fiery yellow. It's got like a little bit of orange to it. It's so pretty. And then we have the pink and Robo Rose. It's so gorgeous. There's like a little bit of orange in that pink as well. It's not picking up as easily. It's beautiful. You might be able to see it better like that. No. Well, I tried, but look at those. That shade is insane. And those are all of my Adept palettes. I can't wait to see what else they come out with. I'm really excited. I'm excited for the makeup that we're going to get in 2025. Got to focus on something, you know? And I'm excited. So next we'll do Blend Bunny. And my little stack with them has grown a lot recently. I have 3, 6, 9 palettes from them. And we'll start with these ones. So this is the Surge. It's no longer like being sold. She discontinued it. Something about the neons, the factory not being able to do the neons anymore, which sucks because I know this is a lot of people's favorite, but to be straight with you, I never liked the neons in this palette. They're hard for me to work with, and I'm not saying it's the palette itself, because a lot of people do love it. Maybe it's me, my technique, or whatever, but to me, they do come off as very patchy. This palette is very beautiful though, and I love that she always has the light shades and the deep shades. That makes me very happy. Then we have Primal. And Primal is like one of my favorite rainbow palettes. And I love that she put the black and white and the massive pans like that. For somebody that does not have a large collection, that is awesome. And it's very smart. Then we have Sugar and Grunge. This was my favorite for a long time, and it still is one of my favorites from them. It's a beautiful palette. And I think she discontinued that as well because of some other problems she was having with another brand. But then we have Longing. This is my favorite palette now from them. I love this palette. I love the shimmers. I love the mattes. I love the way it's laid out. I just had so much fun with this. Look at this shade. It's so delicious. It's so beautiful, so glossy and wet looking. And these two down here are some of my favorite shimmers from them. They're beautiful. Love Letters is gorgeous too, but there's something about When It Rains that just gets me. The one in the center, it's so gorgeous. Look at them on the finger. They're just so glossy. You get that really high impact shine. And then we have Divination. So this one just launched, and it's a collab with Robert Welsh. This one is really pretty too. It has gorgeous shimmers, gorgeous mattes, and out of the collab palettes, I was happy that this one wasn't a rainbow. I mean, it's almost, but not quite. And I like the undertones of this one a whole lot. It's a very beautiful palette. And then we have the Donnie Darkowitz. This palette is really pretty too. I do have a few like nitpick things, like the greens are very similar on the eye. This one's a little different, but these three are like really similar. Same with the purples with these two. And then these two shimmers look they look identical. One has like maybe a hint more pink, but they are, which one did I do? I can't even remember. And it's hard to tell because they look so similar. See what I mean? They're like very, very similar. And I feel like this one wasn't like curated as well, but it's still a really beautiful palette. Then we had this one. I think this one released first, the Ellis Atlantis. This is like the ultimate rainbow palette, like the biggest one I've ever seen. But this silver that's in here is so delicious. Put it next, like it just kept going. It's so like silver, so freaking beautiful. But the shimmers that are in this palette, they're all like iridescent toppers, all great highlighters. They're all beautiful. Like, oh, they make me happy. That one's more like an iridescent silver, kind of like this one from, what palette was that from? Was it Longing? Yes. It's the shade, like the shade Remember, but these are really, really pretty. They all have like their own like unique undertone, and when you lay them on top of some of the other shades, like the deeper shades and stuff, it is really beautiful. It makes the color of them like really peek through. But I love the undertones in this rainbow palette. I just think it's extraordinary. It's very large, but it's still very beautiful. And this is my newest. This is from Lynn's Makeup. This is so beautiful. I have the eyeliner palette as well, but I took it out of the pile because I had it in with my eyeshadow palettes. But it definitely needs to go with the liners. But this one is really beautiful. I do like that the palette is smaller and it's more of a like curated color story, but it's still a little too rainbow. But either way, she did a great job, and these shimmers are really, really pretty. Personally, I do prefer more shimmers, but she did pick really good ones. And then last, I have the Makina palette. This palette is really beautiful as well. And I also really love the shimmers in this one, the undertones. I love these like swampy greens. Cyborg is the best shimmer, obviously. I mean, I'm pretty sure anyone who has this palette might think that, but it's like so beautiful. Such a great highlighter. It reminds me of my highlighter from, I'm trying to think. Let me look. I can't remember the brand off the top of my head because they are a newer brand to me. Unearthly Cosmetics. And it's the shade Flotation. I want to get more highlighters from them. But this is like a really pretty like iridescent blue highlighter. It's gorgeous. Now we have Cosmic brushes, and I have racked up on Cosmic brushes palettes, and I have the Christmas one I'm still waiting for. It should be here like one day this week, but Cosmic brushes is a favorite brand as well, so I have a lot of favorites from them. My least favorite is the Gothic, not because of quality, because the quality is 10 out of 10, but it's just not my kind of color story. Not my, like, I like purples and stuff, but not like these tones of purples, if that makes sense. And not just purples on their own. I don't ever do like a full-on monochromatic purple look. But if you are into that, you will love this. It's really beautiful. This shade right here, to me, or the way it's laying, it looks gold. But it's a multi-chrome, and it's really pretty. This was their Valentine's Day release, I believe, but it's just really pretty. I could be wrong. I think it was. It's like a purple to gold. It's really gorgeous. It's just not my favorite from them. They've released a ton of good palettes. So this is one of my favorites, the Winter Wonderland. I love this palette. I've told you guys a bunch that I love blue eyeshadow, but if I'm going to use purples, it's going to be like this. Purple and blue are some of my favorite colors, but this purple with this shade is so freaking gorgeous. They make such a beautiful two-tone look. Like you could do this in the inner part of the crease, that in the inner corner, and then do icicle throughout the crease, deepen it up with atmosphere. That would be such a freaking gorgeous look. So gorgeous. You could even do the shade Cold, which is one of my favorites, on the lid, or Blanket on the back half, because look at that. That's so freaking, it's so delicious, is it not? It looks so beautiful. It looks even better like once you layer it. The shifts are so strong, and these palettes are way like on the affordable side, considering like how much indie palettes can run. This one, they're like around $30, which is fantastic, but that is just so beautiful. They make me so happy. This is my newest at the very moment. I'm actually still reviewing this, so I can't give you my full thoughts on it, but I do like this. This one is like probably next to the Gothic. It's great quality and everything. I just am not a big fan of the color story. And this, it's like a, I don't know what you're supposed to use it for. I tried to use it as a glitter glue. I need to watch another review and see, but I tried to use it as a glitter glue and it creased like nobody's business on me. But the color story is pretty. It's just not my favorite. I want to use like these together. That would be such a gorgeous look, but I still love their stuff. Neutrals made me lose my mind. Or neutrals. I love this palette so much. I love the color story. I love how grungy and murky it is. It's just so beautiful, and I really loved all of the looks that I created with it. It's one of my favorite palettes in my collection, and one of my favorite videos that I did. This one launched alongside that one, the Cool Trolls, and I have a bad habit of calling Cool Tones Cool Trolls now. It's like it got confused in my brain, but I love this palette. I love how cool toned it is. I just love the color story that she built with this. And I love it when shimmers, like duos and multis, they pull colors together that maybe you wouldn't typically see. And then you could do like two-tone looks and then use the shimmer on the lid, and it like draws it all together. Those are my favorite. I always have so much fun. Oh, and this is a really good silver as well. It's really pretty. So glossy. This was my first palette from them, the Serenity, and it's still one of my favorites. This is a beautiful freaking palette. I love how kind of chaotic the color story is. Like you could make like quick one and done types of looks with this, but you could also make very like intricate, is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but you know, like different types of looks that maybe you don't see every day. It's just so beautiful. I love the mattes. The color story just takes me out though. That's why I'm like so in love with it. The shimmers are really beautiful. This one does not have like special shades in it, but they're still special. Like they're still really, really beautiful. And for a long time, it was one of my top favorite palettes in my collection. This one is really beautiful too, and this one does have a multi-chrome in it, but this one wasn't my favorite. I do love it, but it's just like almost another rainbow palette to me, so I don't really care for it as much as I do like the other ones. But I will say this one is still really, really gorgeous, and you can really see that multi-chrome shift. It's just so like metallic looking. The formula is just so freaking good though. Oh. Then we have Muse. This is still one of my favorite palettes in my collection. I love this so much. It came out a few years ago, but this color story just screams whimsical fairy garden. And I just picture a Muse like, if you watch Charmed, you remember the episode where they get inspired by the Muse, and it so screams that, like her. It's just so beautiful, and I love it. It's one of my favorites. Like I said, I love these colors together with this on the lid. Even use this to deepen. It's so gorgeous. There are so many good color combos in this palette. This one is really freaking gorgeous as well. The Undergrowth. This is like the ultimate green palette. It's so beautiful, and I had a lot of fun with this one too. The shade is 10 out of 10 perfect. It's so gorgeous. I just love how it is light in one direction, but then deep in the other. It's very, very beautiful. One of the most beautiful olive shades I have, and I love this color being in this palette, and that one. It's just gorgeous. Those are all my Cosmic Brushes palettes, and they are staying for forever. You're stuck with me. Okay, we're gonna save Unearthly for last because they have, like, I have the most palettes from them, probably even more than I did from Glamlite. So now we're gonna do Bella Beauty Bar, one of my favorite freaking brands. Love them. Love this palette as well. Is it blurry? Or am I blurry? Maybe I probably need to take some off this stack. It's too close to the camera. But we have the Molten Chromes. I love this little 6-pan. This shade Dissolve is one that I use a lot to add like an inner corner highlight. It's so delicious. Oh, it's so beautiful. I love the shades in this palette. That one is really beautiful too. It's Melt. And immediately the song I Melt from Rascal Flatts just popped in my head. Isn't it by them? We're singing them on Valentine's Day, and I'm so excited. Then we have Heat. Rascal Flatts reminds me of like my high school era. But I love them. They are all just equally beautiful. Let's do Molten too. It's one of my favorites. It's a hollow. So, you already know. They're just so divine. And there's the fingers. Oh, look at this one. They're all beautiful, though. It's hard to choose. I love them all. I don't know. I like that. I like that Molten shade a lot. Then we have Basic Witch. Let's do it in order that I picked them up. Let me rearrange. It's a little late because I already did the Molten Chromes. I'll talk about that palette next. Then we'll do them in order. Okay, I fixed them. So this one released with this little 6-pan, the Molten Chromes. And here we have the Melted Mattes. These neons are some of the best neons I've ever worked with. They are really, really good. They're not showing up like on camera as neon as they actually are in person, especially that bottom row. They're bright. This is a beautiful palette, and I've learned that I really like doing a neutral crease and then doing a pop of color, and a pop of neon with that type of like matte crease is so freaking gorgeous. So I love this palette a whole lot. But if I don't include those two, this is the order that I picked them up in. So when they first came out, I bought this palette. I don't know if it was their first palette. I don't even know if it's when they first came out. It's when I first learned about them. But this is the Celestial Garden. This was a collab with M. Jones. And we have a row of shimmers, a row of mattes, and a row like of wet liners. This palette is really, really beautiful, and I'm keeping it because I'm obsessed with everything this brand does. So they're not going anywhere, but I will say their formula has improved a lot. This one kind of fell out, and I didn't put it back in there straight, which is going to drive me nuts, but their formula has improved a lot, like tremendously. And I didn't pick up anything from them for a minute after I got this, because this one just wasn't my favorite. But then I did pick up the Basic Witch, and I lost my mind over this palette. This color story is so gorgeous, so witchy, and it's everything I want for like the Halloween time or whenever. I just love this color story. It makes me so freaking happy. It's so beautiful. Oh, and Cauldron, that shade is so freaking gorgeous. I keep saying freaking. I'm so sorry. I just get so excited when I talk about like eyeshadow, but these last like 10 brands really excite me like a whole freaking lot. They're so good. Dead Roses released for Valentine's Day, and this really made me lose it. I was like, oh my God, this is how we're going to start the year out. And I know it looks like a purple, pink, red monochromatic palette, but it's so not. It's so beautiful, and it's hard to get the shifts to pick up like with just a palette, but they are there. They're so there. Like, look at that. It just blows my freaking mind that they can create something as beautiful as that. And I love that they do light and dark shimmers, because I do like to use both on the lid. I do a darker one towards the outer corner of the lid, but not like in the outer corner. I like dark mattes there, and then I do a lighter one, and the contrast that it gives you is really beautiful. I just love this palette. Then they launched this one for spring, and I really, really lost it. Oh, this palette is so gorgeous. And you could tell I've really gotten so much use out of this one. So this one, like I said, I really lost my mind over too. Again, with the light shimmers and the deep shimmers. This shimmer right here is a hollow. It's called Gazebo. It's so beautiful. Oh, I loved a look I did when we went to Cedar Point. I did a nude crease with this shimmer on the lid, and I did a pop of color with that. And personally, I felt like it was very beautiful. But I don't have very many neutral, like hollows in my collection. This one blows my mind as well. Serenity. Oh, we'll do this one. That one I'm not swatching anymore because I've already hit pan on it, and I don't want it to run out. I'll cry. Oh, and this, like, they are just so breathtaking. Let me, like, make this one full opacity because my hand was wet, but I want you to be able to see, like, the full shifts. And that one is a hollow as well. It's really pretty. 10 out of 10 recommend. This whole palette is gorgeous. I know it's big, but it's big and beautiful. And I'm pretty sure this one released like shortly after. I could be wrong, but this is the one I mentioned earlier, the Ultraviolet with D'Angelo Nicole. And this palette is freaking gorgeous. That's a hollow up there. And it's called Rarity, and it's such a rare shimmer. So it's a perfect name for it. It's so pretty. The shift on that is just so gorgeous. I love it so much. I think they did such a good job on this. If you like purples and this is still in stock, I'm not really sure. I think they have restocked it. Let me check. But it is totally worth getting. It's so gorgeous. Even me, someone who doesn't do a lot of purples, loves this palette. It is in stock. And I do have a code. It's AOML. I'm sure I've already popped it up on the screen, but I do highly, highly recommend. It's so freaking beautiful. My code is affiliated as well. And you guys, I bought this summer, and you know how much I have like raved about this palette. It's one of my favorites from them. Oh, it's so beautiful. If it's in the top 3 for sure. It might be like number 2, but it's so beautiful. I lost my mind over this palette. It's one of my favorites in my collection. These 3 shades are so amazing. All of the shimmers are amazing. This one, Depleted, is so delicious. I just want to swatch them all, but I'm tired of like scrubbing my hands with the makeup wipes. They're just so pretty. Like, they're so pretty. They're like so pretty. I just lose my mind every time I look at them. I love palettes. Like, I love looking at them and everything. It makes me happy to like come up in my room and see all of my stuff like out and displayed. It truly brings me joy. And these like types of videos where I like rank them and just show them and talk about them, they really do. They could change my whole mood, change my whole day. But I bought this one after I bought this one because I needed it in my life, and they did reformulate it. So it has like their newer formula, and it's beautiful. Oh, I love this palette. I love the shimmers. They are so freaking gorgeous. Then this year, well, this Halloween, they launched the Vamp. And I was excited to try this because I loved their other Halloween releases so much. And I knew this one would be good as well. And it is, I'm happy to say. I would be so disappointed if it wasn't. But I don't ever like not like one of their releases. Do you see that freaking silver? Teresa is dead would lose her mind over that. This one is so gorgeous too. It's called Shadows. I have like sparkles in my mattes, but I love that shade as well. This whole palette is amazing. This is probably my favorite from them and one of my favorites from the whole year. Dang, that was loud. But I love this. It's so beautiful and dark and moody and swampy and grungy and gorgeous. This is my baby. Oh, I love this palette. It makes me so happy to look at this palette, that it's such a great job. Like, I get so excited for their releases. There's something about them. I'm actually waiting on their newest collab to get to me, and I cannot wait. That is like such a gorgeous cool tone color story, and that's why I'm waiting to do my ranking, because if I love that palette the way I think I'm going to, it's probably going to end up being in my top 5, and I don't want to miss out on it. And I have the Ensley Rain one too. So these ones are new. I just bought them because I wanted to have all of the available palettes. Plus, this palette is going to be a favorite. I already know it is. It's like the ultimate spring and summer palette. It's so beautiful. The shimmers are gorgeous. I've swatched them, but I have not gotten to use them yet, but I cannot wait. And I got Smoky Glam because it's freaking beautiful. Even though it's neutral, you do have cool tone neutrals, which I do love. And I love the like light pastels and the deep smoky colors. This is going to be like a gorgeous smoky palette, and I'm happy to have it in my collection. These two as a two-tone look on the lid, deepen up with that one, or if you do the green in the outer corner, you could do one of those. That would be really, really pretty. Those tones together would be really gorgeous. And those are all of my Bella Beauty Bar palettes so far. But I'm like, out of all the brands that I like try to follow and love, the brands releases that I am the most excited for is probably Bella Beauty Bar. And that's hard to say because you guys know how much I love Unearthly and Ensley Rain, but they just, I get hyped for them, like so hyped up. Okay, I separated the palettes so that they're all like all together by shapes. I don't know what's going on with me, guys. Feeling a little OCD over here. But this is the Odd Man Out, the Fairy Frolic. This is the only one I have that does not have their new formula. But I love this color story so much. It reminds me so much of the Muse, but like a smaller condensed version. They give off very similar vibes, and I love them both, and I want them both. Now, this formula is not bad, but it's not what it is now either. The mattes are wonderful. The shimmers are beautiful too. They're just not as like shimmery, high shine, impactful in the same way that they are like with all of the other palettes I'm going to mention. But it's staying. I am keeping all of my Unearthly palettes. Then we have the Lure. This is one of my favorite palettes. I love the artwork, and I am so in love with the color story. There's just something about this that makes me so happy. It's like the ultimate fall palette, but more. It's so freaking beautiful. I think it's the pop of color in the center that really gets me. Adds a whole other twist to this one. This palette is new to me. I just bought it during their Halloween sale that they had, but it's beautiful. I think they're gonna like discontinue this as soon as it sells out, so that's why I wanted to pick it up, because I do really love this color story and I'm excited to get some use out of it. Plus I really love the weird artwork. This was a part of their like little Halloween mystery box they had this year. This is really, really beautiful. It's like the baby sister of Dreamer. Let me show you. Where are you? Of course it's on the bottom. It's like Dreamer's more bright, colorful. I don't know. Is it more bright and colorful? In some ways, yes. In other ways, no. But it reminds me of that, but they are completely different. Like the mattes and shimmers and stuff, they're both beautiful, but yeah, this one is staying. Look how pretty. Oh, I love the shimmers. And I look at that. There's something about that like color combo that gets me every time. It really makes like these two shades pair well together with that on the lid. Such a beautiful combo, and I really love that like iridescent toppery shade. Looks beautiful as a highlight or on top of like some of the mattes or inner corner like highlight. Gorgeous. This is one of my favorite palettes in my whole collection. I love this so much. I think I bought this year. But this palette is so beautiful. This color story just gets me every freaking time. The greens mixed with these like grungy orange shades are so freaking stunning. I love this green, but I really love this shimmer too. The tone of orange is very beautiful. It makes me super excited, and they're like so glossy and wet looking. I love the little 9 pans from them, but my favorite are the 12 and the 18 pans. So I actually have this stack, and I do have a couple of new ones in here as well. Leather and Lace. This one I have used, and I really love this color story. This is like the ultimate fall palette, but look how like shimmery these are. They're so like glossy. Just so freaking gorgeous. And one thing that I love about Unearthly Cosmetics is they can do a color story so freaking perfectly. This palette is just so gorgeous. And then Dead of Night. I wish I would have gotten the In the Dark, but now it's too late. It's gone. But this color story is so me. If you follow my channel, my content, you know how true that is. I love this. I love the green mixed with these tones. I have not used this one yet. I have like dug into a couple of the shimmers, but this one is really beautiful. I can't wait to create looks with it. These palettes are the ones that started my whole obsession with Unearthly Cosmetics. We have the 1964. These were Halloween releases they had a few years back. And then So Strange, which is so gorgeous. And then the Weirdos. Oh, I love this. This reminds me of Muse as well. But is that not so beautiful? And look at the pan that's in that shade. One of my favorite shades in my palette. And the one that released with these three that I did not have was this one, Warms My Blood. But one of you guys sent this to me, Steph. Shout out to her. Thank you so freaking much. I've been kicking my own butt for not picking this up for so long, and she sent me a freaking brand new one. And look at that. It's so dramatic and smoky and gorgeous. I am gonna love this so much. This shade up here is really, really beautiful as well. I am so excited to have this. I cannot tell you enough how much it made my day. But even more than the palette, your note made my day. It made me cry like several times because I read it several times. And oh, it meant a lot to me. I will cherish them both forever. But these shimmers are to die for. They're like so sparkly and shifty and just gorgeous. I liked this formula a little more than their new shimmer formula now. I think their new shimmer formula a lot more people can use, especially like people with hooded eyes. But I thought this formula was a little more shifty than the new one. Both are beautiful though, and I'm so happy to have this in my collection. It will never leave me. Then we have the 18 pan palettes. I really love this format as well. So here we have Spring Magic. This is such like a beachy spring palette. Like she did a really good job on this color story. And do you see like how high shine those freaking shimmers are? They are so beautiful. Oh, Mystic is so good. It's so beautiful. I just love them. Breezy is so beautiful. Like they're so glossy, and this formula it feels like silk. It's so stunning. I've had so much fun with all of these palettes. So this one is definitely a keep. And then this is one of their new palettes. I did get this one in PR. And she is freaking gorgeous. I love this color story so much. She did such a good job with this one. I am so into the cool tones right now. I don't know what's going on with me, but I am obsessed. And I love this palette. It's so much fun. Loved my looks that I created. And let me tell you, the matte lipsticks that came out in this collection are so freaking good. I've been so in love with that formula because they're actually matte without being dry and crusty and like making your lips shrivel. Yes, shrivel. At making your lips shrivel up. They don't do that, and that makes me so happy. So these are my two newest ones, and I freaking love these. I just ranked this as #1 in my ranking. Well, I think it was #2 actually, but this is so freaking beautiful. Oh, I love this palette so much. I love how like grungy it is. Oh, this shade right here, Exercise, is so good. Emerald is good. Like, it's beautiful. There's something about this palette that drives me insane in the best way. And same with Just a Taste. I love this. This is, to me, like, I talked about this in my Christmas palette video because I said, like, these two rows are very Christmas. But honestly, this row down here is very winter. The way that this color story is muted makes it winter. So you could like literally do fall, Christmas, winter if you do seasonal looks. But I love this all year long. And do you remember the shade I said in the Sumerian Sunset that reminds me of this shade in this palette? It's so beautiful. It's gorgeous. Those are definitely a keep. And these are the last ones, guys. We finally made it to the end. Let's see how many I have here. I have 8 of these palettes, and these are some of my favorites in my collection. I love them. So first one being the Dreamer. This is a lot of people's favorite, and I love it a lot too, but it's not my favorite, but I do love it, and I'm glad I have it, but she is staying. High Temp, I was excited and got this one in PR. This was my first PR package, and it was from my favorite brand, and I was so excited, or at least one of my favorite brands. But this color story is so gorgeous. I really love these two light shades. They look so beautiful together on the lid, but these shades, like these two are metallics, and the bottom two are like multi-chromes or duos. I can't remember. I think it's a multi. They're gorgeous. It's like a orange, gold, peach. It's so pretty. But this red, the matte red and the matte shimmer, they are some of the best reds I've ever seen. Like, look at that on the finger. I have so much, that's one finger swatch. And there's two. I have so much eyeshadow under my nails. I didn't mean to get that one. I wanted to show you guys this one. It's such a good matte. Do you see how freaking pigmented that is? That's one swatch. It's like she really did something with that red. It's freaking gorgeous. I love that palette. If you like warm color stories or like sunset looks, this is going to be your favorite. It's so good. So this one I haven't used a whole ton because it sold out. It was from the Valentine's Day mystery box, and it sold out before I could pick it up. So I got it like 5 or 6 weeks late because I had to wait for the pre-order to come in stock. So I didn't do like a dedicated video on it, but I did use it a little off camera. And it's really, really beautiful. It's not my favorite from them, but it's still a really good palette. And I'm happy to have it. And then this was the Summer Mystery Box, and I use this one a ton. It's beautiful. I think it's such a great summer spring palette. I love like the bright tones in here. These are some of my favorite palettes in my collection. These 4. Sorcerer Smoke is so freaking delicious. One of my favorite green palettes. I just love this so much. I love the matte. I love the shimmers. I have Pan in the shimmer. It's just so beautiful. Fall Magic is so good. Oh my God, I was so excited. I literally almost just dropped those, and my whole body started tingling. That's how scared I got. That one has a pretty big size pan. It's kind of hard to tell because of the color, but I love this palette. It's the perfect, like, ultimate fall palette. I keep thinking that I know what my favorite Unearthly palette is, but when I see this one, I always second guess myself. This one gets me. It gets me so much. Oh my God, the shimmers and the mattes, the color story, everything about this palette is so amazing. It makes me so happy. I can't even stand it. These two together are so good, but this shade right here is so pretty. It's like that seafoam green and purple and pink. It ties every shade in this palette together. So no matter what you pair it with or how crazy the color combination is, it will work. You could do these two together and that will still be beautiful on the lid. These two together, that works. These two, like no matter what you do, you could even do these two and make that work. It's just so beautiful. This palette is so good. I love this color story. It makes me so excited. You know what I would love to see her remaster and make bigger than what it is the Daily Grind and the Lure, but mix them. And add, like, you know, maybe switch some stuff around and change a few shades, but those two color stories together would be so freaking good. This one is one of my favorites too. It's the Devour. I love this palette. Oh my God, I've raved about it. It's one of my favorite palettes from this year. It's so beautiful. These like iridescent shades, they're gorgeous. And I love how they change, like, depending on like what you put them on, it's kind of hard to see that because it is an iridescent shade. But let me show you Trapped. I'm going to show you Trapped like by itself and then Trapped on top of like some of the other shades, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I did a little bit of Carnivore here, Devour, Prey, and then Snap. So on this side, I layered it with the shade Trap, and then on this half, I layered it with the shade Bite, and it changes them completely. So even though these are only like 2 different shimmers, you still get a lot more out of them, and plus they're like really good highlighters. So I love this palette. I highly recommend it. So those are all the palettes, at least all the ones that I have in my collection. I do have some other ones that haven't gotten to me yet, but this was really fun. What's not going to be fun is counting these, which I'm going to do. I'm going to go find some little sticky notes, and I'm going to count them by brand, and then I'll just like add them all up and let you guys know like how many I actually have. Actually, I forgot to talk about these two. But I really, really love those. This is the All I Ever Wanted. It's such a gorgeous shimmer palette. And then the Resurgence, which was the Heather Austin collab. I really love those. Okay, so the numbers are in. I had 259 palettes when I started, and I decluttered 35, which now leaves me at 224. This is the declutter bin. So if I end up doing the Macari thing, I will update you guys on my community page. So make sure you're subscribed. But like I said, it might be a little while because I got a lot of crap to do, you know, around the house, and this room is a disaster now. But I'm kind of shocked because I started the year with 130 palettes, and I added 129, which is so crazy. It's actually more than that because there's a few floating around with USPS that haven't gotten to me yet. And it did not feel like I was buying that much at the time, but I really did a lot. And I love eyeshadow palettes. I love reviewing them. And, you know, it's part of what I do here on YouTube. So that makes me have more than what, you know, an average everyday person would have. So that's why I have a lot. But to be honest, I had a lot before I started my channel because I love eyeshadow. It makes me really, really happy. And I don't see a point in getting rid of something that brings you joy or makes you happy or something you spent your money on. So the only things I chose to get rid of are things that serve no purpose in my collection. And honestly, I'm really happy with my decisions. I actually ended up putting these Juvia's Place palettes in here as well because I slept on it and I don't think I need them. So I'm excited. I'm ready to get my shelves put back together and start anew. And I'm really excited to see what my favorite brands release in 2025. I think it's going to be fantastic. This year was the year for eyeshadow palettes. We've gotten so many good releases, and they all stayed in my collection because, well, all of them except for this Kiss palette. I need to, well, there's a few actually that didn't, but I need to make sure to take them out so I can do that eyeshadow palette ranking. That's just me thinking out loud. But if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know what your favorite palettes are. What are palettes that you bought and were disappointed by and you decided to declutter from your collection? I love hearing from you guys. This was a really long video. I'm not sure how long it's going to end up being after I edit it, but it was very long. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun filming it and reminiscing on the stuff that's in my collection. But if you haven't subscribed yet, I really hope you will. And thank you to those of you who watched this video all the way till the end. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And until next time, bye.